Your call is completed. Long-distance charges may apply.
Hello?
Hey Kyle, how are you doing this fine evening?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I was wondering if you're ready for the interview.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alright, I'm going to ask you some questions that you can choose to answer them if you like.
Sure. Sounds good.
Alright, first off, can you please tell me a little bit about your background, your childhood, what was it like?
I come from a small oil town in northern BC called Port St. John, and grew up around music. My father was a musician, had a studio. He played in several bands, and he kind of grew up playing music as well with his parents. So my grandparents played, and that's how they actually made their living, playing the bars and playing the bluegrass festivals and things like that. And so I grew up around it, and I always kind of loved it a lot. And I really started trying to learn to play when I was young, when I was 10 or 11, and my dad always had like kind of a rehearsal space studio in the back of our property there. So I spent most of my time out there turning things up and trying to make them sound good.
That is very incredible and cool.
Yeah, it was definitely lent to what I loved. I was very fortunate in that regard. The thing that was tough about living up there was that there wasn't a lot of music up there. There was no guitar teacher up there that could kind of teach me what I didn't already know, to be honest. And there was not a lot of access back then. I mean, I'm 35, right? So yeah. YouTube wasn't around, and it was all trying to listen to CDs and trying to figure out the guitar licks. And my dad got me, the guitar instructional videos sometimes, and I never even really started learning to sing. Like, I never took any vocal lessons till I was in my 20s. So, yeah.
That's cool. That's very cool. I appreciate you sharing that information with me.
Yeah, no worries.
And what about where you at now? Like, where you currently reside now? And
yeah, I'm in Airdrie, so just north of Calgary. Yeah, I kind of moved around a bit in my 20s. I guess I left Fort St. John when I was 18. Like right after high school, and I moved to Nashville, Tennessee. My dad lived there at the time. He spent 8 years there. And I moved there, and I kind of cut my teeth there. I really learned a lot and got to see some of, the world-class players in front of me every night. So I really loved that and kind of took advantage of being there. I really got into it and tried to learn as much as I could, and then I left there and moved to Vancouver and joined a rock band and did pretty good with that. We made a couple cool recordings and tried to get into the Seeds competition there a few times, and were never successful with that. And I joined a couple other bands. I moved to Edmonton, then I moved to Kentucky for a while, and then I moved back to Vancouver, and then I moved to Calgary after that, and then I met my wife here, and I've been here ever since.
Interesting. And let's talk a minute about your wife. Would you say she has been very supportive of you in your career?
Yeah, she has. She's been amazing. Actually, she's been, it's a different life, and it's not easy, that's for sure, especially for your significant other. Lots of the time it's you're gone quite a bit and hyper focused on making records and writing songs and working in that way. So it takes a lot of grit and a lot of patience and love from your partner. So yeah, she's been incredible. I mean, we're still together. 13, going on 13 years together. So
wow.
yeah.
That's cool. And you mentioned you traveled around and played for different people and all that. In your time around traveling, have you ever played with a celebrity that really inspired you? You know?
Yeah, lots of them. I think every time I've come across someone who felt like a mentor, you know, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from the producers I worked with. I worked with Brian House, who was a great mentor for me. He wrote all the Hinder record and produced their stuff and Lips of an Angel, and he did what else did he do that was massive? He did Boys Like Girls, that band. He did all of the Headley stuff, even though that's kind of a touchy subject at the moment. He did all their stuff, and yeah, he was a great mentor to me. He taught me a lot. Touring with Nick Carter was really cool. So Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys, he was a really, really sweet dude, and he was very nice, and he taught us a lot about performance and about professionalism and how to treat your fans, and yeah, he was a super cool dude. Yeah, touring with My Darkest Days, those guys showed us, you know, how to party and how to, you know, really, really. They were a real rock and roll band. That was fun and kind of scary. Yeah, and you know, we toured with lots of people. I've toured with Coleman Howell and Sean Hook and Tyler Shaw and yeah, lots of others I can't think of, but yeah. I just got off another tour. I just did the We Will Rock You tour, the Queen musical. I was playing guitar in that, and it was a 6-month tour across North America, and we did 116 shows, and we did like 44 states in the U.S., I think, and then almost every province in Canada, other than we didn't do Newfoundland, Northwest Territories, none of it, or the Yukon. Those are the only ones we didn't go to.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that was a long tour, and I had a great time. I learned a lot on that tour, and just kind of got to get away from the industry for a while and really, you know, get my head straight. It was wonderful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about your band career. So, is it true that you were the lead singer of 2 other bands, the New Electric Band and Crowns?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And would you mind, if you don't mind, telling me about the New Electric Band?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, the New Electric was a pop band that was kind of formed out of a failed rock band attempt and then a failed alt-band attempt. So basically, we were just a tight group of guys, and we started out as a hard rock band, like almost kind of classic rock sounding, like AC/DC and meets Def Leppard meets Nickelback sort of thing, because it was back then, you know, it was when Nickelback was sort of thing. So we started doing that, and we got some attention, and we got you know, interest from Brian, the guy I was telling you about. Brian House, the producer, and we got management. So we signed with Chief Management. Chief managed. His big thing was he kind of went out with Nickelback as a tour manager, and he went on to become, you know, to manage My Darkest Days and Hinder, and then he went on to manage Florida Georgia Line, and he's a, you know, partner in Big Loud Records in Nashville now, and manages a whole bunch of different artists and acts and stuff, and so he took us on, and then we were shopping it around and seeing if any labels were interested in it, and we couldn't get any bites on that, so we kind of worked with Brian on developing, okay, well, let's try something else. So we tried kind of this alt thing, because it was when Imagine Dragons was first coming out, and you know, it was still kind of rock, and so we went that direction, and that wasn't really biting either, and we were like, let's just try doing some pop music and see if we can write it. And so we started tackling that, and yeah, we were kind of good at it. Like, became moderately successful at it. We had a few hits in Canada on radio and got to tour around a bit, and we did pretty well with it. It was a lot of fun, that band. It was, just me and my brother and some of my best friends, and it was a really good time. Lots of good experiences and lessons about life and the industry that I'll take with me.
If you don't mind me asking, how come you guys disbanded, or what happened there?
We didn't disband, actually. That's the same band that became Crowns.
Oh.
So what happened with that band is we kind of capped. Like, we hit the ceiling of where we thought we could go, and we were looking at what to do next and what options we had. And we met another producer called Steve Cosmaniac. And he was a really cool guy, and he started to take me on another path and journey, and started to open up these ideas about, my childhood, and about, talking about my life coming up in Fort St. John and all of that. So we started writing songs, and it became Crowns. So yeah, it was the same guys as the New Electric that went on to do Crowns.
That's cool. And what happened to Crowns at the end?
So Crowns, we put it out there, and it did moderately well, but not quite well enough. We got dropped by our label, and we kind of had to shut it down because when there's no money to make records, there's no records.
Yeah, that's true.
Simple as that, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, I actually got the chance of seeing you guys perform as Crowns, and I was very pleased, and I'm sad to hear that.
Yeah, I know, dude. Lots of us, all of us are sad, and we had quite a few fans that were sad about it as well, but, it's just one of those things, dude. It happens every day, and can't be too sad about it. The music's still there. That's what makes me happy. I think about that. The music is still on Spotify. The videos are still up, and they will be forever. So it's never actually gone. It's just abandoned.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I'm gonna shift this to a little bit about you a little more. Why did you become like what you are today? Is there any particular reason besides St. John kind of aspect?
I think I dreamed of it when I was young, I think that's how lots of people get started. You kind of find your thread when you're young. You see something, or you hear something, or you experience something that makes you go, that's what I want to do. That's where I want to be. That's what I want to be. That's where I am. And then you start piling up bricks and trying to become that. You just keep piling bricks, and eventually, you've got a foundation.
Interesting.
And so it was. I think for me, it was specifically we were watching. Not, there was that I was around it my whole life as well. Like, I saw my dad, doing it, and we love our dads and look up to our dads, and so there was that aspect. And there was always music around and guitars around, and we were always playing. My whole family plays, so we were always doing that. But I saw rock and roll, I saw the Beatles. It was a rerun of the Ed Sullivan Show when they were first on there, and that's really what triggered me and kind of really made me think like, man, I want to do that. I want to be an artist one day. I want to be in a band. How do I do that? And growing up, I had no idea about the industry. I didn't know a single person. None of my family did. I didn't know how records were made. I didn't know how managers worked or how you found anything. I really had to learn all that stuff myself, and it took a long time,
Interesting. All right, this shift this again to the performing aspect. So you're on tour and all that, right? How do you work? Is there anything like different or unique that you do before you go on stage or prepare for?
Yeah, I mean, try and stay as present as possible. Have you ever heard, you know how they say, like, stage presence?
Yeah.
All right, well, presence it means being in the moment fully and having no mind noise and nothing going on other than that moment, right?
Gotcha.
And so there's lots of ways to get there, and different people do different things. Once you practice it a lot, you can get there like pretty quick, and you can get good at that. And so what I usually do is I'll make sure my voice is warmed up, like hours before. I'll usually do it in the afternoon, because once your voice is warmed up, it's warmed up for the day, right? So you only have to do that once. So I usually do that in the afternoon. And then we would just hang out and just be together, be in the moment. Right before we go on stage, we do a bunch of like physical things, like, punches and kicks and high kicks and squats and stuff, and just get your blood flowing, get your energy up, and then just make sure that you're not thinking. Make sure that you're just existing. That's how you want to perform. That's what I do anyway.
Okay, thank you for that. And what is it like performing on stage in front of people? Like, do you feel like a sense of nervousness, or now it's just excitement?
It depends on the gig. Like, every time I would go on when it was my own band or project or songs, or, I would always feel those wonderful feelings of, like, excitement and nervousness a little bit every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great thing, because I've experienced the other side of it too, where, you're doing a gig and you're doing it more for money, and you don't feel those things. I don't get, for those kind of gigs, I don't get nervous at all. Just go up there and do your job, and it's a lot different. So experiencing both things kind of makes you appreciate the nerves and the excitement of performing. And it's great. Like, performing is it's where you get to be with the people that like what you do. It's where you get to be in front of them and really connect with them, So it's one of the best parts of the whole thing.
Okay. Next question for you. Do you miss anything when you're touring, like your wife or family or anything? Or are you open and accepting to new challenges that you face?
Yeah, I'm definitely open and accepting to challenges. You have to be in this industry. I definitely miss my family, and that's one thing that will change. Like, I'm just at an age and at a place in my life where I will not go. And I just did a 6-month tour. I just got home a week ago, and I won't do that again. I won't be gone for months at a time ever again. It's too hard. I have a 3-year-old son, and I want to be here. With him and be a good dad in his life every day. And
good role model too, I bet. Hey.
Yeah, it's important to me. It's important to make him proud at the same time, and show him that it's great to do what you love. But I just want to be. Any tours that I take on or do now will be, a month max, few weeks, and then home. Few weeks and then home. Has to be broken up and split that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I know that you perform and all that, but what kind of career do you think you would have chosen if you didn't choose music? Did you have any backup or something, or was it just all in music?
I never had any backup. But as I went through my life, I discovered other things that I love to do, And I think if I was going to have, if I was me at this age now talking to my young self, I would tell him, you know, you really enjoy projects and like building things and fixing things and doing electrical work and construction work, and I've done like van conversions for people and turned their vans into living spaces with solar panels and kitchens, and I've done like a tour bus. I did my own tour bus and gutted it and completely rebuilt it back up to like a proper tour bus, and yeah, those kinds of things I really enjoy. And I've always done. I kind of have had a plan, because when I was around 25, 26, I saw something that I liked in the construction field, and it was like vinyl deck installation.
Oh, yeah.
And so I've always had that. So I did that for like 7 years, and I became a journeyman vinyl deck installer. So I've always had that, and the ability to fall back on that during the summers. It's seasonal, so during the summers I've always been able to do that if I needed extra cash.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That leads me to my next question. Do you have any special talents, like some things that are kind of out of the ordinary or cool or different that, you know, most people don't know about you?
That's a good question. Like what kind of things are you talking? Like curl your tongue 4 times or something?
Well, anything that, you know, is not basic. You know, I know you play guitar, I know you sing, but something that is out of the musical aspect of it.
Right. Well, I mean, aside from, yeah, kind of building things and renovating things, I'm not sure. I'd have to think about that one. Let me ask my wife 1 sec.
All right.
Do I have any talents outside of music that most people don't know about? Yeah. Oh. No. Oh yeah, I'm great at hacky sack. That's true.
Oh, I might have to play you sometime.
I love hack. I used to play it all the time when I was young, and yeah, I'm quite good at it.
That's cool. All right, that leads me to my next question. Has anything weird happened to you when you were working on a song?
Has anything weird happened to me while I was working on a song?
Something like out of the ordinary, where like you're working on the song and this happens, you're like, oh, that's different.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing that's it's not weird to me. It might be weird to some people though. Is that sometimes you have like it's kind of how would I explain it? Sometimes I have because when you're writing, lots of the time you're just kind of trying to act as a conduit. I don't know how to explain it, but like a conduit from other people and from the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of acting as this person being totally open and just trying to let what you've seen in the world and the people you know and relationships you have and all of these things kind of flow through you to give you inspiration or to give you words that you're trying to write down to tell the story, right? You're not telling just your story. You're telling thousands of people's story, and you're telling the story of humanity all the time. You know, there's only so many stories in humanity, and you're telling them in different ways every time you're writing songs. And so sometimes when you write things, or when you get to a cool place where something's different and something's like unique, and you think that you feel like you're really connecting with what's going on in the world, or you're connecting with, a story that's important. It can be really, kind of pivotal for yourself. And I've had experiences where I feel like kind of shifts inside myself where I figure things out, or I let go of, pain that I was holding on to, or trauma that happened to me. It's almost therapeutic in a sense, and I've had those experiences where, oh, that's better now. That's fixed now. I've healed myself songwriting.
Gotcha. Okay, next question. Do you have any regrets about your career, like something that you might have done differently with your music?
Yeah, I do actually. I mean, don't regret anything in the sense that the experiences, I don't regret any of the experiences, and I don't regret any of the fun. I would definitely do a lot of things a lot differently, knowing what I know now. Just, be a lot more budget aware, and I would be a lot more careful with what we spent money on, and where we spent it, and how to spend it. That's pretty much it, though. Yeah, just those things. We did pretty good with our, planning and decision making, and working it in that sense.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Be careful with your dollars, kids. Be careful with your dollars. They go quick.
Another question for you. What is next for your solo career? Because you've mentioned to me off air that you have some projects in the work for your solo career. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm working on a project right now that I'm really excited about, because after this last tour with the Queen thing, I just really kind of, I got away from everything and had a chance to kind of realign with, the kid in that studio in Fort St. John, and really get back to like why I love this, and so I'm doing a bunch of cover videos with my friends, like good players, musicians, doing a bunch of cover videos of these songs that mean a lot to me. And so basically we're going to, go in a studio. We're going to go to OCL in Calgary here. It's one of the nicest, most wonderful places between Toronto and Vancouver. Love it. We're going there for a few days, and we're going to do 10 songs live off the floor, and video the whole thing, and then edit it, and then kind of put those out. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have planned at this point, dude.
Interesting. Do you have any do you plan on touring anytime soon in the future?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it depends how we do with the cover thing, and then we'll look at maybe doing a record. I mean, what I do naturally, like what my kind of organic, authentic vibe is like if I sit down and write a song by myself when I'm not in a room full of, pop songwriters or like hit songwriters and stuff, I will write something that's kind of like more rootsy Americana, folky rock blues, sort of like that rootsy Americana thing is like what I would say the vein that I fit into the best when I sit down and write something by myself. So I'm kind of like remaking all these cover songs to kind of fit that vibe, just in case I want to do something later. But I'm not sure at this point. I just want to kind of enjoy that and not have any preconceived notions or expectations on it. I just want to do it and see what happens,
Gotcha. Thank you for that answer. That was a really good answer.
No worries.
I have a couple questions left for you. One of the two would be, if you could change one thing in your life, what would it be? Not singing, music, but like in your whole overall life. Is there anything that you kind of wish you would have done differently?
I don't know. I have a pretty damn good life. I'm a pretty lucky guy, man. I great friends and great music relationships and a great family first and foremost. I'm not sure. I've made a point of like trying to fix everything that I wanted fixing. My relationship with my mom, my relationship with other people in my family. Just, but I've spent time healing those things and kind of working through everything that I've wanted to work through. So I think at this point I'm in a pretty good spot. I don't have anything I'd want to change right now, to be honest.
That's also a very good answer. All right, for my final question, this is one I want you to answer completely honestly, all right?
Sure.
All right, so if I was to, this is not actually going to happen, but if I was to give you $100,000 to help you with your career and starting up on your solo and all that, give me a couple examples why I should do it.
Well, I mean, if you were looking at doing something like that, it means that you would have, already seen me and have a belief in my talent. I mean, and if that was the case, I probably wouldn't have to say too much, to be honest. Just have to work out the details and the deal and kind of go from there, But if I was, and I wouldn't, I'm not a salesman.
But let's say you were persuading some like big record company or something like that, the big head boss, and they're like, give me a couple reasons why I should hire you and stuff like that. Why would you want them to hire you?
Well, I think one thing that I would say is that because I will never stop. Right? That's a huge thing that those guys look at. They look at how long you've been going, how persistent you are, and how consistent you are. And that's actually one of the things that I've been through a lot of bands. People see that as well. It's not always a great thing, but it doesn't matter to me. I just follow my heart, and that is an answer I would give them, though, is that no matter what I'm doing, I'll never stop doing it because it's just who I am, and I love doing this. So that's one thing. Another thing would be, is that I've been through this several times. I'm, kind of experienced at it, I would say, at this point. In the most humble way you can say that possible. So, and I would say that I've already got a good team that I work with. So, that takes a lot of pressure, and they look for that as well. They want to make sure that you have great management and have a great booking agent and have all those ducks in a row. So, I have all the things. Hi, buddy. How are you? Good. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, that's a very good answer. I want to say I thank you for your time. This is the end of the interview, unfortunately. But I love your answers. I think you're a really good artist. And if you want, I also play bass guitar. So if you're looking for a next person to jam with, let me know.
Awesome, dude. No worries. I appreciate the call, man. And your questions were great. A lot better than some of the professional interviews that I've done in the past. So be proud.
Well, I thank you very much, and I hope we talk again sometime, maybe when you're a little more famous.
Yeah, no worries. We'll keep following me, and you never know.
All right, thank you, man.
Okay, take care. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.